Imagine you have two irregularly shaped buckets. You know the capacity of these buckets, but you cannot accurately fill either bucket part way because there are no markings. In most cases, it is possible to accurately measure out any amount of water that can fit in the larger bucket.
To prove this, I will show you an example. Let's say bucket 1 can hold 13 litres and bucket 2, 8 litres. Using these buckets, we will measure out accurately 2 litres. To do this, you will first need to fill bucket 1 to 13 litres and empty bucket 2. You will then fill bucket 2 to its maximum capacity of 8 with water from bucket 1, leaving bucket 1 with 5 litres. Next, you will empty bucket 2 and then pour the contents of bucket 1 into bucket 2, meaning bucket 2 will contain 5 litres of water. You will then fill the bucket 1 to 13 litres and then fill bucket 2 to 8 litres with water from bucket 1, leaving 10 litres in bucket 1. Finally, you will empty bucket 2, then fill it with the water from bucket 1 and be left with 2 litres in bucket 1 and 8 litres in bucket 2. 2 litres of water is now accurately measured out.
This problem was solved by Bezout, an 18th century French mathematician. He worked out when 2 buckets of any size can make any amount of water and why. This method of measuring an amount of water simply involves subtracting the amount of water in one bucket by the empty space in another. Every time one bucket pours water into the other bucket, it is left with extra water that can be transferred to the other bucket, meaning there is less empty space. The next time water is poured into a bucket, a different amount of water is subtracted, since there are different amounts of empty space. Let's call bucket 1 A, bucket 2 B, the total capacity of bucket 1 A1, the water in bucket 1 A2, the total capacity of bucket 2 B1, and the water in bucket 2 B2. Let's also say that A1 equals 13, and B1 equals 8, so that bucket A can hold 13 litres, and bucket B 8 litres. Now let's go through the process of finding 2 litres. First, empty B, so B2 equals 0, and fill A, so A2 equals A1, A2 equals 13. Next, transfer the water from A to B, so A2 equals A2 minus open brackets B1 minus B2, close brackets. A2 equals 13 minus open brackets 8 minus 0, close brackets. A2 equals 13 minus 8, A2 equals 5. Next, fill B with A, so that B2 equals A2, and A2 equals 13. Now, transfer the water from A to B again, so A2 equals A2 minus open brackets B1 minus B2, close bracket. A2 equals 13 minus open brackets 8 minus 5, close brackets. A2 equals 13 minus 3, A2 equals 10. Next, empty B, so B2 equals 0, and transfer the water from A to B one final time to find 2. A2 equals A2 minus open brackets B1 minus B2, close brackets. A2 equals 10 minus open brackets 8 minus 0, close brackets. A2 equals 10 minus 8, A2 equals 2. Now what has just happened is that the end result is A1 minus open brackets B1 minus open brackets A1 minus open brackets B1 minus open brackets A1 minus B1 close brackets, close brackets, close brackets, close brackets, minus B1. A1 minus B1 is the first B2. Then A1 minus open brackets B1 minus open brackets A1 minus B2 close brackets is A1 minus open brackets B1 minus B2 close brackets. And this is the next B2, and the cycle continues. The minus B1 at the end is what happens when A2 reverts back to being larger or equal than B1. Like at the start, A2 minus B1, when A2 equals A1. So let's work out what we have done. The end result is 13 minus open brackets 8 minus open brackets 13 minus open brackets 8 minus open brackets 13 minus 8 close brackets, close brackets, close brackets, close brackets, minus 8. This goes on to be 13 minus open brackets 8 minus open brackets 13 minus open brackets 8 minus 5 close brackets, close brackets, close brackets, minus 8. Then 13 minus open brackets 8 minus open brackets 13 minus 3 close brackets, minus 8. 10 minus 8, and finally 2. This process continues until B1 is equal to A2, so B1 is taken away from B1, A2 being greater than or equal to B1, and A2 equals 0, so it's back to the start.
Any amount of water can be measured when the difference between 2 buckets is not a factor of the maximum capacity of either bucket. If the difference between the capacities of the bucket is a factor of the capacity of either bucket, then when water is poured from one bucket to another, the extra water, or end space if bucket not filled, is a factor of both bucket capacities, so it is only possible to make a multiple of the difference between the 2 buckets, because that is the only thing that can be subtracted, is a multiple of the difference between the 2 buckets.